to change the leadership of the investigation into your former personal attorney, Michael Cohen?
No, not at all. I don't know who gave you that. That's more fake news. There's a lot of fake news out there. No, I didn't.
President Trump there denying a New York Times report that he asked former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker if a U.S. attorney in New York could essentially unrecuse himself from the federal investigation into Michael Cohen. A Justice Department spokesperson also saying Whitaker is standing by his House testimony that the White House never asked for any promises regarding the ongoing investigations. I want to bring in now Andy McCarthy, former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York and a Fox News contributor. Andy, what are we supposed to make of this?
Harris, I think it's a non-story. It's a lot like the big coverage that we've gotten every month or 2 months. They run a story about how Trump vented and he wanted to fire Mueller, but it's all wind and no rain. Nobody ever gets fired. It looks like they're just going to now do the same thing with the Southern District of New York. The issue would be if Trump directed his attorney general to tell the U.S. attorney in New York to ignore his recusal and take over the investigations that impact Trump. The president didn't do that. The former attorney general Whitaker says it didn't happen. President says it didn't happen. So it's a lot of hullabaloo about nothing. They ought to get back to us when he actually fires somebody.
You know, it's interesting. Of course, everything is politics, but Democrats are looking at this, some of them, as defanging the investigation. If you put somebody alike in certain places, does that change how things go? Democratic Congressman Cicilline of Rhode Island says this. Let's watch.
This reporting is explosive in that it reveals that the president reached out to the acting attorney general in the hopes of changing the leadership of the investigation to put somebody more favorable to him in the leadership of the investigation. That is completely inappropriate. If he did it with the corrupt intent to shut down the investigation or direct it in a certain way, it's clearly obstruction of justice.
Let's watch what the president said, too, in a quick tweet. The New York Times reporting is false. They are a true enemy of the people. Andy, that may not be helpful, but doesn't the New York Times have something to say here in terms of show me the facts?
Yeah, well, you know, look, I think slow news day, Harris, which is unusual in the age of Trump. I guess we should be, we should be somewhat thankful for that. I really think that these stories are going to continue until these investigations are wrapped up. But what I would say to people who are whipped up about this and think it's explosive is that, Trump has ranted and raved about Mueller for nearly 2 years. Mueller has filed, at this point, who knows how many indictments and other charging documents. He hasn't returned a single sentence that suggests that Trump committed any misconduct, and Trump has never fired him, even though he's had the authority to fire him the whole time. So
those are the facts.
Yeah.
I want to get in.
Facts.
I want to get in the Times response as well, because we've received that. The phrase "enemy of the people" is not just false; it's dangerous. It has an ugly history of being wielded by dictators and tyrants who sought to control public information, and is particularly reckless coming from someone whose office gives him broad powers to fight or imprison the nation's enemies. Your response?
All right. Give me a ring when Trump tries to close down the Times.
Andy McCarthy, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.